Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be making a card using some products in the Pretty Pink Posh shop. And these are some recently released products with their January Valentine release. And I will have a link to all products that I use in this video down in the description box below. I'm going to be using this Valentine wreath. I went ahead and stamped out all of the elements from the stamp set, and you can see what that looks like here. So it does have a beautiful wreath with several different Valentine and love icons. There's also a few sentiments, lots of love and love you. I just love this wreath. It has several different icons in it. You can see there's some little happy mail. There's a couple of hearts, almost looks like a little box of heart-shaped chocolates. There's a cupcake, there's a bird, there's some flowers, there's a lock and a key. So all cute little icons that are perfect for Valentine's Day, or even if you just want to send a note of love, this stamp set would be perfect for that. Now, another idea for this stamp set, rather than just using it as a wreath, is that you can actually use your scissors and fussy cut all of these little icons. So if you just wanted to create a card using a few of the icons or all of the icons, you can just fussy cut the ones that you want rather than using the entire wreath. There is a matching die set that goes along with this wreath, which will cut the entire wreath out. And then there are also some dies to cut some of the larger icons that are on the outside of the wreath. So for example, at the top left, there's a little lock. The bottom left, there's a key. And then there's a bow and arrow on the right side and a flower and a heart. So there are dies to cut those larger ones out. There are also dies to cut out the sentiments, lots of love, and love you, which I really love that also about the die set, is that if you wanted to die cut the sentiments, you have that option. And I will show you the die set here momentarily. So for my coloring, the way that I found the easiest to color this up is to pick a color, for example, that I wanted to color the heart. Color up the one heart, find all of the hearts in the wreath and color them up exactly the same way. So I'm not coloring them different colors. I just found that it worked easiest this way. And then once those hearts are colored, I can then move on to the next icon. So for example, if I wanted to color the cupcake one color, I would find all of the cupcakes and color it all a certain way. Here is a look at the die set. I'm just using my wire cutters to cut these dies apart, and you can see it has the large wreath, and then you have all of these other smaller dies for some of the larger icons that are on there. So I found it easiest to find the little envelope and then line my wreath up that way, because I can see the flat edge on the die, which corresponds to the envelope, and it was just easiest to do that way. And as I said earlier, there are dies for the love you and lots of love, so I can die cut those out. There's not a die to cut out that words Happy Valentine's Day in the middle, but once that wreath is cut out, it will cut out the middle sentiment. So I'll go ahead and run that through my die cut machine, but next I want to show you this other stamp that I'm going to use from the Love Borders set. It is the String of Hearts. I've already stamped out and die cut two of the string of hearts, and I'm just going to color them up. I'm just going to use two markers to color those up. I'm using the R24 and the R22 Copic markers. I go ahead and color both of those, and I've already die cut them out. And the next stamp set that I'm going to be using is the Sending Love stamp set. I'm going to use this dog that's sitting in the box. I think this is so super cute. There's also a monkey right above that holding some happy mail. There is a raccoon and a skunk. There's a bird, and there's a couple individual pieces of happy mail stamps that you can use for this set. There's also a really cute mailbox right underneath that dog. So for the dog's ears, I used C7, C5, and C4 Copic markers. For his face, I used the C3, C1, and C0. And for the nose, I used C7, I used R20 for the tongue, and the feet I used C5 and C7. Now for the box, I am using the same colors that I used in the pink colors in the wreath because I wanted this to have a consistent color scheme. So that's why I thought it was so important to use the same pinks, and those pinks were RV00, RV52, and RV55. And then for the labels, I'm using C4, C0, and the blender. My reds are R24 and R22. And then I take out a red Sharpie and I handwrite the words "Love You" on the front of the box. And I'm going to use that as the sentiment for the front of the card. Next, I have this scalloped circle die, and I die cut it twice. Once out of red cardstock, I'm going to use that as the frame, and then once out of white cardstock, which I'll use for the inside piece. And I'm taking some of my squeezed lemonade distress oxide ink, and I'm just putting a little bit of the ink around that circle. I wanted to have a little bit of yellow showing underneath that dog when I add it to the circle. So you most certainly can use the wreath just as it comes, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to cut this in half. This wreath measures 3.5 inches, so I'm just going to cut it in half at 1.75 inches, and you want to make sure that before you cut it that you're looking at the top of the wreath. In other words, you want to make sure that the directions of the icons are showing correctly from top to bottom, because one part of it will be at the top of the card and the other part will be at the bottom of the card. So I have a piece of white cardstock that I cut down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I have this piece of green cardstock that's 1 inch thick. I'm just going to put it there in the center of that white cardstock, and then I'll add the top of the wreath at the top part of that card front, making sure that the bottom flat edges where I cut are lined up flat against the green strip. So I'll go ahead and glue that down, and I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom part of the wreath. So I'm going to put glue on the back, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of that card layer in the white area, and making sure that the flat edge is lined up with the green cardstock. Next, I'm going to add these strips of the heart borders. So here's one, and I'm just going to add it so that it is placed where the wreath and the green cardstock meet up. So I'll go ahead and glue that down, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other heart border. So I'll add some glue to the back and put that where the cardstock and the bottom part of the wreath match up. Now I do have some cardstock that extends beyond the left and right edge of that card front, which is no big deal because I'll just use my scissors and trim that off. Next, I'm going to add the red frame. So I'll put glue on the back of that, and I will add it to the center of the wreath. And next I'll add the white cardstock to the center of that circle. I'm going to go ahead and put some foam adhesive on the back of the dog so that he's popped up a little bit, and add him to the center of that circle frame. And then I will add that card front to a red A2 size card base, and that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And that's going to complete this card. So if you are interested in purchasing any of these products, I will have links down in the description box below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.